hour. I really try to be on time and to end it at the top of the hour. There is plenty of time for question at the end. I do want to keep this an open conversation. I have the chat window open here on the side, so feel free to drop your questions throughout the conversation today, and feel free to interrupt me. I'm happy to answer anything and everything. So don't be shy of asking me any question. Just don't ask me to get up off my seat because I am in my underwear. Um, so today's menu, what to expect in the next hour. Travel and money hacks, as I promised. A little bit of a talk about financial freedom, my personal story, and kind of my, not method because I haven't invented anything. As you will see, I'll just share with you knowledge and experience that I've gathered throughout the years around financial freedom. We'll talk a little bit of mindset, and of course, time for your questions. Super, super important before we continue here. Sorry. A disclaimer. Nothing mentioned here today is a financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm not a professional in any way. As I said, I'm sharing here my best knowledge, my best experience, the things that worked for me or didn't work for me. I definitely had a lot of failures along the way to where I've reached nowadays. But again, this is, guys, not a financial advice. I'm not licensed to do so, and this is just me sharing my experience throughout the years. Let's start. Hi, everyone. My name is Dean Kuchel, and very much like many of you here, I'm a digital nomad, and I set myself the mission to visit all 196 countries of the world. A little bit to get more idea about myself in numbers. I am 40. I just celebrated my 40th about 2 months ago. I have two um, degrees, academic degrees, both of them in business and finance. But to be honest, it's been more than 10 years since I've been to the academy, and I don't remember much, and I don't think I actually learned a lot in school, but it was a nice experience nevertheless. We will not talk about the education system today, although I have a lot to say about it and where it fits in today's work environment. Everything I own, all my belongings, can fit into a single carry-on that weighs 12 kilograms. That's basically everything I have. The laptop, the camera, the clothes fits into a single carry-on. That's what I've been traveling with for 9 years. I've been on the road since 2014, and that allowed me the great privilege and pleasure to visit 103 countries so far. I do a lot of things, among them public speaking, and I run an online community named Digital Nomads Israel with more than 35,000 members. I help governments nowadays around remote work, whether to help them to become a hot destination for nomads or help them to empower the local community to tap into the job market. But really, my biggest focus and the reason I do everything, whether it's the public speaking or working with businesses like Passport Card Nomads as an advisor, is my passion and deep want to help as many people as I can to overcome and break through their limiting beliefs of I cannot, or it's not possible for me, and all these ideas that we surround ourselves that kind of put us down, why we cannot live our best life. And with those ideas and motivation and setup, I'm trying to help them to achieve both location and financial independence. This is really what I'm into, and this is really my legacy and mission in life, and it's why I'm here. I'm a digital nomad, like many of you, as I see in the chat. And a digital nomad, it's a term that has evolved over time, and I'm not even sure what it really means because each and every digital nomad is really a different person, right? It has a lot of flavors, and behind every digital nomad there is a full personality. But what digital nomad means for me is that I have the the option to work from anywhere. I've been doing customer success work for many, many years. I was doing this for 10 years. I recently quit this career to pursue um, only remote work and digital nomad lifestyle related passions of mine. And this digital nomad allowed me a great digital nomad lifestyle. And again, I've been doing it since 2014, allowed me an amazing degree of freedom that I enjoy, like many, many other digital nomads. And the three main freedoms are the location, financials, and mindset. And the first one is the most obvious, the location, right? As a digital nomad, we can work from anywhere we want. We can just grab our laptop, travel to, I'm in Bali, travel to Tbilisi, travel to Kopanjan, travel to Medellin, open the laptop, connect to Wi-Fi hotspot, and we good and we can perform the work. And I took full advantage of this freedom. I traveled to Santorini, and a week after, I was already in Galapagos. I traveled to Croatia, where I had a beautiful dinner in the amazing city of Dubrovnik. I worked from Iceland and I took a hot air balloon trip in Cappadocia, Turkey, a beautiful site and a beautiful country. I opened my laptop in the mountains of New Zealand. What a place. I climbed the stairs of the El Peñol. If you've been, you know, 730 stairs that take you to a breathtaking view. I was amazed by a mosque in Brunei. I'm still obsessed with sunset, regardless of where they are in the world. This specific one is in Nicaragua, in San Juan del Sur. I've been to Mars a couple times, pretty boring, not going back there anymore. And I traveled again to Iceland to enjoy this crazy landscape of this country. I also been to Samoa in the Pacific, far, far away, a beautiful tiny island. And I met a lot of faces and people in India, but not only. Like everywhere I go, I meet amazing people. And this journey of mine, and I think for many nomads, after some time, it's no longer about the places. It's not about the Taj Mahal or the Great Wall of China. It's not about the Machu Picchu. It's really about the people we meet along the way and the connections we form and the friendships. And um, I matured into this understanding feeling, but I think the greatest memories and experiences that I have are not from the places, but really from the people. So as you can see, I took full advantage of this freedom of location, and I travel. I travel lots. I traveled more than 400 flights in the past 9 years. I'm using an app. It's called App in the Air. This is tip number one. And people always like this app. It automatically track your Gmail, pull out all the flights you have, put them in an app, track how many flights I had, how many airlines, type of aircraft. You can say I traveled the distance to 2.3 times to the moon and spent almost complete 8 weeks in the air, in airtime. This is not everything. I think I'm missing like 3 years of flights here, but it's just cool stats to those of you who also like to travel lots. And the second freedom I mentioned is the financial freedom. And what I discovered fairly quickly is that being a digital nomad is not just, hey, I can travel and I can be in Bali or I can be in Australia or anywhere else. It's an opportunity to change the financial trajectory of my life. I'm not coming for money. I didn't make exceptional amount of money in my life. I just had normal day jobs. And the digital nomad lifestyle, being able to work remote, changed everything for me. With a salary of $1,600 at the very beginning when I started this journey, instead of burning through the entire money every month, I moved to much cheaper places, right? I did what many of us do. I did gear arbitrage. I would go to spend time in Philippines and Vietnam and Thailand and Colombia and Chile and Bolivia and Argentina. Actually, Bolivia not. I never been to Bolivia. That was a lie. But I'll spend my time in places way, way cheaper than the States or Israel, where I'm originally from. And all of a sudden, the same amount of money, which was barely enough to uh, finish the month, was enough to not only pay for everything and all my expenses throughout the month, was also enough to later on save and grow my capital. So if you haven't done this yet, and if you haven't considered digital nomad lifestyle for the financial reasons, know this is one big advantage. And if we are used, for example, just to put the math into it, if we spend $1,500 a month, and if this is also what we make a month, then basically we live month to month. But what happens if we make $1,500 a month and we only spend 750? Now every month we live and work, we actually afford 2 months of life. And if we go do, zoom out, every year of work, we're able to save for 2 years of living our life. And this is how financial freedom is being created. What if we can make $5,000 or $6,000 a month, live off 1,000, and every month save 5 months of just lifetime without work, retirement. And if we do it and you scale it, we come to the point where 10 years of work will generate 40 or 50 years of retirement. And this is part of the essence of what lay behind the idea of financial freedom. And I'll dive into it right away. FIRE. How many of you know what FIRE stands for? Not just the element, but FIRE as financial independence, retire early. This is an acronym. There is a big movement around the world in the last 10-15 years, and the basic idea of it is called the 4% rule. What the 4% rule means, that if you want to retire, and when I say retire, I don't mean to not work anymore. I'm 40. I have financially retired earlier this year. And I say it again, financially retired. It doesn't mean I have endless amount of money. It doesn't mean I don't want or need to work anymore in my life. Actually, I'm super, super busy since I have retired. But it means that I have the freedom and a higher degree of freedom to say yes or no to certain jobs, certain things in my life. And money does not dictate all my choices, or doesn't force me in one way or another. And and retirement has a lot of flavors. It doesn't have to. Again, I know people who retired on very little money, and I know people who retired on a lot of money. The concept here again is the 4% rule. What it means, that if you take the amount of money that you need to live every month, and this example is $3,000 expenses, which is pretty comfortable in most places around the world, and you multiply it by 300 months, this is the amount of money one need to save in order to become financial independent. FI number, that's a question that people in the community will ask, what's your FI number? So your financial independence number in this case will be $900,000. What does it means? If we manage to save $900,000, we will generate $3,000 a month for the rest of our life, based on the assumption of the 4% rule, 4% interest rate. If we look on historical data, for 100 years, 4% on average a year is possible without doing anything special. You don't need to trade on the stock market. You don't need to invest in some companies. You just buy indexes like S&P, which is a collection of the few hundred largest companies in the US, for example, and around the world. And you are, I don't want to say sure, but very likely based on historical performance to make 4%. You can do the math as many times as you want. That's what it works. But you can put 1,500, multiply by 300, you will get 450. If you have this amount, it should generate $1,500 every month. If you have any question regarding this, please drop it in the chat. I know sometimes it can be a little bit confusing, especially for those who watch it and see it for the first time. Now, retirement doesn't also have to be exactly this way. What if I want to have $3,000 a month, but I'm a good investor and I make 8% a month? Then I need half the money, right? Also, it doesn't mean that we need to have the whole $3,000 for retiring. What if we start making $1 as passive income, and then $2, and then $100. Even if we make 100 and 200 or $200 a month passive income, that's good money to start the month from not doing any work. Linda is asking, what about inflation? The 4% today does not count for the hyperinflation that we, no, it's not hyperinflation, but the high inflation that we see nowadays. This is why you will see some communities starting to talk about the 3.5% rule, which would count for it. But if we really look back on historical data, especially in the last 10, 15 years, 4% was basically almost virtually a loss. Stock market did 20% in, 20% in 21, 25% in 2020. 2019 was also another. I think only in the end of the month it dropped a little bit, but was positive overall. So obviously it fluctuates and there are no promises, but again, based on historical data, this is what we see. There is no way to guarantee the future. So there's a calculation that shows the monthly income. Just a little bit about my journey. And I went from 0 to infinity in 8 years. And when I say infinity, I don't really mean it infinity. I don't have infinite amount of money. I've as the calculation showed you, I mean, these are not my numbers, but I'm happy to answer all questions at the end around this. And I'm pretty open about my spendings and also some of the investments that I do. I share about this on my Instagram with my mastermind community and also when people ask. But I started my money journey 8 years ago. And as I said, 8 years ago, I had very little money under my name. I think I had about $20,000, $30,000. It's not little, it's a lot. But of course, it depends where we're from. Living in San Francisco at the time and having at age 32, $20,000 or $30,000, this is not a very promising start. We're in a place where the tiniest apartment cost $1.5 million. Right, but this is where I started with a very low salary, and over time I just grew my salary, grew my savings, and most importantly, used the ability to travel to improve my cost of living. Many of us, I think, at some point thought that travel is expensive, but for me, travel was what saved my financials. So how to achieve financial independence and how to manage our money when we travel? There are three main pillars and foundations to this system. And it's pretty easy, and I'm not teaching you anything new. Spend less, earn more, and invest. These are the three things you need to do. I know this is not groundbreaking, and I know it sounds simple to do, but to actually take action and to change it, this is not always easy. And starting with spend less, which is the easiest but also the limited, right? We can spend less, we can cut on services, no more Netflix, no more YouTube, the YouTube account, no more the Spotify. We can give up on different services, but eventually we still need to pay for food and shelter and health. But it's also the fastest. So if you need to cut some big expenses and go lean with your expenses and money, this is the first place to look around. I will answer the questions in the chat in the end. This is a very good question. And I would love again to read in the chat how many of you are not digital nomads yet, don't have the setup to work remote, and so I can better massage the conversation here to answer to as many people in the audience. All right, so start with spending less, and the secret to all of this is minimalism. If I was asked today to give one advice and I was given only 5 minutes, and thank you again for giving me a whole hour of your life, I would talk only about minimalism. More than anything else that I've done in those 9 years, minimalism had the biggest factor on my life, on my financials, on my mindsets, on the opportunities that I had that came my way and that I was able to also say yes to. Because minimalism, when we think about it, and when we hear the terms, often people think about very frugal lifestyle, not buying anything, not affording ourselves anything. People think of someone who's living very, very poor life, but this is not minimalism. Minimalism is our win over the marketing machine. It's us buying the things that we truly need and want and give us real pleasure, and not just because someone put an ad on TV and told us you need to wear this watch, you need to buy this dress, you need to have this jacket, you need to drive that car. And this is what minimalism means. If someone here likes expensive watches, you can still be a minimalist and have 100 watches in your collection. If you want to have supercar collections which cost millions, you are still a minimalist, as long as it's really something that provides you the real joy. The biggest problem is that we often think we are free. We think for ourselves. And I have a lot of friends who quit the 9 to 5, started their own businesses, and they said, yeah, I'm my own boss now. But in reality, the real bosses, the real bosses um, were the people from all these fashion designer shops, right? Dolce Gabbana and Gucci, they will put an ad and say, hey, Dean, we need you to go buy our jacket because we need some money for a summer vacation on the yachts in south of Italy. So please go buy our jacket, and when you wear it, make sure that everyone see this huge Gucci brand on it, so they also know that they should go and give us our money, so we give them in return a piece of fabric. And I would do it, and 3 months later, Gucci will go again and post another ad. 18, I need more money so I can afford another vacation. This time I want to go to Lake Como in the north of France, in the north of Italy, and I will go this jacket again. And what I thought that, oh, I'm free thinker, I think for myself, I control my life and my spending, I was buying into those ideas that people fed me all the time. I lived in New York 20 years ago when I was 21, and I would shop and spend all my money going on Fifth Avenue and buying things that I don't need to impress people that I don't know with money that I barely had. And this is a beautiful quote from the movie Fight Club. And it's really like this, and so many of us do it, and it's hard to escape it because we live in a world that we want to show up in a certain way. But I can tell you nowadays that 20 years ago, I was dressed up in the nicest way with a suit and tie, sitting in a New York bar, and you would want to come to talk to me because I looked like some super interesting guy with my suit and tie and fancy sunglasses and watch, but I had a very boring story to share with you, most likely. Nowadays, it's the opposite. Nowadays, I go in my underwear and a t-shirt on a webinar, and people don't care for my t-shirt, for my 9.99 t-shirt. People want to hear my story. I have the audience. People are inspired by this, and this is so much more powerful. This is so much more inspiring for myself and so much more motivating, and at the same time allow me to live such a good life because I'm saving on those nonsense items that I used to buy. So try to play with minimalism if you haven't yet. I would highly recommend to travel with a carry-on, because carry-on not only it's easy to carry everywhere and move places, but it limits what you can shop. And even if I'm tempted sometimes to buy something, I always remind that I have nowhere to put this. If I buy another shirt, I need to buy a whole new suitcase so I can carry this shirt. If I buy a fridge magnet, now I need to buy a whole fridge so I can put this magnet on it. Right? So if I buy a shirt, one shirt goes out. I buy underwear, one underwear has to go out. Otherwise, I have no room in my suitcase. So the suitcase is kind of a container that limits how much I can consume. Um, if you know, there's this technique. If people want to go on a diet, they say buy small plates. So if you don't have a big plate to put the food on, it's the same with a carry-on. It really helps with the spending. It's also, when you travel, it's so much cheaper to travel um, with a carry-on rather to pay the fees every time to take a suitcase with you. If I had to pay the $30-40 for every suitcase every time I fly, that will come to $12,000 probably with all the flights I take, and that's a million times more than what my clothes actually worth. I buy all my clothes in the same shop, some cheap brand, and it cost me less than $200 to replace everything I own. Now, when it comes to the carry on, I'll just say one last thing. Actually, moving to minimalism not only helped me to save money, it helped me to become light in my head. Dean, do you want to go to Singapore? Yes, 5 minutes. Let me pack my stuff. We go. Hey, Dean, we're going tomorrow to Leon, the north of Nicaragua. Want to join us? Yes, 5 minutes. Pack my stuff. I'm ready. It allowed me to be lightweight in my mind. It became agile. It gave me this freedom to, like, yeah, I can say yes to everything because it's so easy to pack everything I have. I don't need to call Comcast or some cable company to disconnect from them. I don't need to talk with the bank. I don't need to change my address. Everything became so easy. I just take my tiny carry-on and I'm out onto the world. There's a big conversation. What is the best way to pack? Roll, fold. I use those vacuum bags. What do you think is the best way to pack your clothes? Roll, fold, or vacuum? How quick you can respond in the chat. Okay, we have we have everything. We have a lot of rolls here. Packing cubes definitely help. One of my favorites. Packing cubes help you to keep it organized. Oh, okay. This is I think we have a majority for roll, but I think you're all wrong, to be honest. I'm sorry, guys. The best way to pack is actually to pack less. Doesn't matter if you roll, fold, vacuum. I try them all. It all looks the same. It all fits the same. Each one of them, they have the upside and the downside. But the best way is to pack less. It's so easy to try. If you have a carry-on, you'll feel it. If you have two suitcases full size, you will somehow manage to feel it. My rule of thumb is only to pack what I use at least once a week. If I don't use it once a week, it doesn't travel the world with me. I cannot carry with me a whole item that once every 3 weeks I all of a sudden need to use it. And depends on where you're from, how you grew up. I come from Israel, and Israelis like to travel with big suitcases, one for the shopping and one so you have sweater and swimwear and winter clothes. You want to be ready for every situation, and you take a whole bag of medication because you don't know what disease you're gonna get. And the truth is that if you go to the Maldives, you probably just need your swimsuit, and you most likely don't even need that because you can buy it for so cheap over there. Um, it's oftentimes not worth buying this. There are products that I buy only when I just need them, right? And when I travel in winter places, I don't need my swimwear. I would buy a new one. There is a cost to carrying this stuff with us, so I I really encourage you, go light, give it a chance. You will not miss anything because you can get anything you want anywhere in the world, and most likely much cheaper than you would buy it in your hometown. Next is fly. And out of my expenses in the last 9 years of travels, with average of 50 flights a year in my best 4 years, I was flying at least 50 times a year. You would be surprised to learn that the budget for travel for flights was actually my third largest expense after food and after accommodation. I took 50 flights in 1 year that cost me less than $3,000 in total, and I'm not talking about flying between Cyprus and Israel that can be 10 euros on Ryanair. I'm talking transatlantic flights, Hawaii to Dubai, to San Francisco, to London, to Australia, to Tel Aviv, to Munich, and back to Canary Islands. Crazy flights. And the techniques and the methods I use are pretty simple. First of all, the right time to buy. Some say Tuesday, some say Wednesday, some say Thursday, some say never. The best time to buy is now. Like, if you see a ticket which has the right price for you, don't hesitate, buy it. Prices most likely to go up. All right, this is especially nowadays. The times has changed drastically since COVID. There's a huge influx of tourists and travelers right now after the airlines been in distress for 2 years. So we do see higher prices. But since we have the flexibility to travel one way and choose the day we travel, we can still get and snap pretty cheap tickets, right? I say fairly because it depends on the destination right now. The world of aviation is going crazy, but it's still possible um, to travel cheap. I tend to always travel outside of the hot season, so I will not go to Europe in July, August. I will always look up tickets one way. It is cheaper. It's true that it's cheaper to fly a round trip. So if way costs 100, if we buy it separately, it will be 200, and one way will be maybe 120, 130. So it will still be cheaper if we, especially if we don't know when we go back. If you know you're going back to the same origin city, do it. But I always check one way, and even if I book for 2 people or 3 people, I will always look up ticket for one person first. Reason is, and the way that airlines price the seats is, if we have 100 seats on the airplane, they sell 5 seats for the price, the ridiculous price of $10. This is so they can put an advertisement saying tickets starting at $10. After the 10, you have the 70. From the 70, you have the 150, and it's first come, first serve, right? So if you're lucky, you'll get a cheap ticket. So what happens if there is only one ticket left for, let's say, $10, but you're trying to look for three? It will not give you one for 10 and the rest for 70. It will give you all three for the highest price. Okay. So always look one ticket. And then also what often happen, we click to book, then we go out, then we click to book again, and we try different websites, and we come from different search engine. We try to outsmart the system, and then we see that the prices is going up $100, $200. The reason it happens is that we drive this price up. When you try to book a ticket, the airline is automatically holding this spot for you for a few minutes. So when you complete the transaction, it will not tell you someone else already snatched this ticket. So by trying different browsers and phones and devices and sitting with our friends side by side, we are actually raising the price of ourselves sometimes. So don't try to outsmart it. I know people trying to delete cookies. It doesn't work this way anyway. No one cares if you on your iPhone and if you deleted your cookies or not. The companies know that people think about this nowadays. Could be that you heard about it in before. It's it's a war that there is no way to change. The algorithms are so smart, and they don't work this way anyway. So when I buy a ticket, I ask myself where to go, where to look for it, and where to buy. So where to go, I don't go where everybody else is going. This is how I ended up being in Sarajevo, and in Kosovo, and in Moldova, and in Serbia, and I've been to Tonga and Samoa. It's because I'm willing to travel to different countries. Of course, if we want to go to Amsterdam on the Queen's birthday for the parade, yeah, ticket's going to be 800 euros one way. That it's a world of demand, right? So when everybody go to Amsterdam, great guys, I'll see you in Kosovo. And this is how I snatch tickets for $10 and $20 every time. I travel. When I book tickets, if you use Skyscanner, you can look up tickets not for a specific destination and not even for a specific date. I can just say, hey, I want tickets to everywhere, or I want to buy a ticket to Europe, and it simply give me all the tickets to Europe, organized by price, and let's see where I can explore. And this is, I think, the essence of being a traveler and a digital nomad, and having this flexibility that, you know what, I can go somewhere else this time. I don't have to travel to Amsterdam on those specific dates. Now, this is how I choose my destinations. Sometimes it's very random. Sometimes I'm forced to go somewhere because I want to meet certain friends, but even then, but enjoy this freedom and take the opportunity to travel places that you never thought. And I promise you, I've been to 100 plus countries now, and I never flew to a country and I regretted it. I never regret any of those amazing experiences. And it's actually those a little bit different experiences, and how I found myself in Norway in the middle of the winter and a pub crawl that turns into good stories, and not those boring stories that I went to Amsterdam and went to the Carlsberg brewery. And sorry, Amsterdam, that I'm beating you on this chat. I love this city and the country and the people. So it's Heineken. Yes, thank you. I don't drink beer. It's. I guess I give this up. So I look up flights on Skyscanner. I look up flights on Google Flights, but I book, especially nowadays, directly with the airlines. The prices are often the same, and today, with a lot of cancellations and COVID restrictions still going on, it is oftentimes easier to deal directly with the companies when you run into problems. But if you choose not to go with the airline, Skyscanner is just a search engine, right? You don't book through Skyscanner. Skyscanner, once you find the flight you want, it will suggest you one of the other website to buy through. Just make sure that you buy one of those top three tiers. There is always rating. It's showing as stars. Go with those 4.5, 5 stars companies, so you know you're doing buying from a trusting company. I just dropped. We have 20 minutes, and I wanted to leave more time for questions. And I have a lot more to say today. But 3 seats. I known to have 3 seats for myself, even on the busiest flights ever. I've been on airplanes and flights with 400 people, full 16 hours, Sydney to Dubai, and I had 3 seats for myself. And the technique is very simple, and the secret is very simple. I just ask for it. I go to the check-in desk and I ask for 3 seats for myself, and typically they say no, but they will put me in a row which is currently empty, but they will not guarantee the three seats for myself. I then go through the security, go to the duty free. I buy nothing because I'm a minimalist. And the second they open the desk at the gate, the boarding gate, I will go there and I will ask to lock the row for myself. 90% of the times they will do it. The reason we need to do it then, it's when they open the gate, it means that the check-in is over. So now they can move the seats, now they can lock and block different rows, and it worked so many times for me. So please try it for yourself. I keep being tagged years after I spoke about this advice in my public talks. People use it, and they all the time tag me about on the three seats. Let's talk about sleep. Sleep is not something I like to do. As I mentioned, I'm in Bali. It's almost 1 a.m. and it's not even my last webinar tonight. I will be going until 3 a.m. So I don't sleep much, but when I do, I try to make it comfortably, because there is really no place like someone's else home. And I think I've been sleeping in someone else's home for 9 years now, whether it's Airbnb, hotels.com, booking.com, etc. And the same where to go, look and buy, apply here. I use for my research on where to stay in a city, and that might surprise you. I actually use hostelworld.com, the same search engine and booking website for hostels. I use it to understand where is the best part of the city, and also where I can find young people. Where you see cluster of hostels, that's typically the city centers. Unlike expensive hotels that oftentimes need to be a little bit outside of the city center for different reasons, footprint, prices, etc. Um, Hostel World is my map to go. I'm a huge fan of hostels. I've been staying in hostels for the first 6 years of my travel, and it's also a big part of what allowed me to save money. And as I mentioned, it was the second largest expense after food. But it again, I spent every year $3,000 on accommodation, and if you calculate it, it's about 300 nights at $10 a night on average. Two months of the year, I'm either staying with my family or friends. So I use Airbnb, and I use hotels.com to book most of my hotels. I also use booking.com to research. The reason I'm a fan of hotels.com is simply their loyal program. They have a loyalty program that for every night you stay somewhere, you collect a stamp, a virtual stamp, and once you have 10 stamps, you basically get 1 night at the same average price of this stay. So if you stay 10 nights for $50, you're getting approximately $50 as for the next booking, and it's kind of an online voucher. Then Um, if you do the calculation, if you do the math, if you stay like me, if you travel the world and you stay about 270 to 300 days a year in hotels, hostels, etc., apartments, because hotels also has apartments, then you get 30 days of free accommodation. So that's a month a year. And we talked about earlier how you can save money. This is how you save money. Every year I spend about a month, I spend about a month for free in different hotels and hostels, and depends on my expenses. Even hostels, I book with hotels.com. The downside of hotels.com, it doesn't have the same variety that you'll find on booking.com, but it definitely has the majority. Another nice thing about hotels.com is once you spend more than 10 nights with them, then you go up the tier to like a silver member and later on into a gold membership, and they do price match. So I book on hotels.com, then I go to booking.com, I see that booking.com is $20 cheaper. I just take a screenshot and the link, I go on hotels.com live chat, I say, hey guys, I just made this reservation, it is cheaper on booking.com, and they will automatically credit me, not even credit, they will um, refund the difference. So I get the cheapest price because I do price match. I I collect the the stamps that accounts to 10% in total. If you prefer Airbnb, then negotiate. Please ask a simple question, and it does not even Airbnb. You can also do it with hotels, but it's just less popular, and there's not always the easy platform like Airbnb that allow you to do this. But I write a simple message to all the hosts that I'm interested in staying with, presenting myself. My name is Dean. I'm a world traveler. I have a job. I'm busy. I just need a simple place to put my head and shower. I'm very quiet, clean, respectable, whatever. Making it a pill story like, hey, look at me. I'm a normal person, not here to party in your house. I love your place, but it's out of my budget. Can you offer me a discount? I don't even say what the budget or how much discount. I let them come up with a price, and 90% of the time they will give me a discount. I saved hundreds and thousands of dollars in total by simply sending the same copy paste to different hosts. And it works. If not, if one say no, if the second say no, the third will say yes, and we can get discount. If we could negotiate everything in our life and get a 10% discount, basically we need to work 10% less in our life. So this is about sleep, and I highly recommend actually to stay in hostels if you haven't tried for yourself. Hostels today, not what used to do in the past. There are amazing hostels that are better than many of the 5 stars hotel that I've stayed in before. Health. Health is important. Took me some time to understand and to mature up. But aside of working out and eating a salad from time to time, I have health insurance. And I'm taking this 1 minute to talk about Passport Card Nomads. Really, again, I mentioned them. Passport Card, the company has been around for many years, but about a year and a half ago, they reached out to me and they saw that Digital Nomad doesn't get the right service and the right product that cover everything they need, if it's coverage for the phone or the camera, if it's flight cancellation, etc. And they asked me for the help, for my help. I brought all my knowledge, all my expertise, all my experience. I gather information from my 35,000 plus members community to understand the needs of people that are different to me. And we really created something amazing. What you see in this beautiful logo, the red card, I think it's something that we take a lot of pride in and something very unique to Passport Card Nomads. Every member that sign up with for the insurance will receive such card. I actually have it here in my wallet, always with me. So it's a credit card, and that means that I no longer need to keep few $1,000s laying around in my bank account to for case of emergency. Because what this card means, that if tomorrow I need to go to the doctor, whether it is emergency or just a checkup and I need to pay for something, I just pull this card, I swipe it, and it's automatically being paid. I don't need to chase Passport Card Nomads or any other company to file a claim and give me my money back. If you ever filed a claim with an insurance company, you know how much of a nightmare it can be, and this thing just fix all this headache. And I know many of my friends and travelers used to keep few thousands of dollars just as an emergency. Um, and here in Bali, unfortunately, a lot of people getting injured if it's bikes or extreme sports don't have the money. I see so many people trying to raise money to just cover their health expenses. So this is only one advantage of this beautiful insurance product. It's an amazing product. I highly encourage you to check it out, see the offer. It range from travel insurance to cover your emergencies to a full health insurance to cover everything. I have full health insurance, right? I've been a nomad for many years. I don't have social security in any country in the world right now. I have a full coverage that actually cost me less than my social security in my country that covers everything for me. So check it out. It's really an amazing, amazing product, and I cannot recommend more. Simply for the reason that I stand behind this product because I develop it and I was one of the creators of it, and I really made sure it serviced me and serviced my fellow nomads that travel the world and from time to time need access to health services. So the best company out there, I promise you. I'm going back to money. We talked about spending less, how we can save on travels, and how we can save on accommodation and going minimalist. But there is also the side of earning more. And I want to encourage you all to find ways to make more money. We live in amazing times when we can claim to fame and we can claim to be anything we want, right? I mean, I can say I'm a public speaker. I don't need anyone to announce me as one. I don't need anyone to license me. I can be a blogger and a content writer. I can be a model. I can be a singer, but maybe not your favorite singer, but I can be whatever I want. And this is what the time we live right now. It's so easy to uh, take on new skills. There are crazy amount of online courses. There's so much knowledge on the internet accessible to anyone and everyone around the world. Coming from a third world country, from a developing country, is no longer an excuse why not to have access to knowledge. And I think this is a huge opportunity for people from all over the world. Um, but really, if we know how to use the power of the internet, we can do so much more. But we need to do, and I think this is um, the biggest hurdle for so many to get up in the morning and to say, okay, I'm pursuing my dreams. I'm achieving the goals that I have for myself and the life I want to live. We all want to live good life, but it's not always easy to get up and do what we need to do. And I'm here to ask you to do. And once you do, I'm here to ask you to do more. And at the end, luck, the way I see it, is the result of hard work. And all my friends and all those people I know that have been traveling the world, they just did. And it doesn't even need that they need to work hard, because work hard is not an existing term anymore. None of us work hard. Unless we are farmers or work in construction, then we work hard. You work in the sun, it's not easy. You need to lift heavy things. But if you want to become a graphic designer or a web designer, or if you want to become a coach or anything else, we do all these things from the computer, from the comfort on sofa or sitting on a nice beach somewhere around the world. It is possible more than ever to build our dream life. We just need to do. I know a lot of people who failed and didn't accomplish their mission. I know a lot of people who did accomplish their goals and dreams, and all those who accomplished just continue doing. They didn't give up when they failed. I failed many times and I still fail every day, but I get up, clean myself up, and I move on to the next idea, to the next business, to the next venture. I never give up, and eventually something clicks. I learn from my mistakes. I'm learning from my own downfalls, and I rise to be better. And I'm here to tell you, just go for it. Whatever it is you want, do it, please. And then value yourself. A lot of the conversation I have with people who work remote often about the salaries being low, not being compensated right. I've been also in negotiation, oftentimes afraid to name my price and ask what I think I'm worth because I was afraid to lose the deal. But what I learned over time, I rather lose the deal than not getting paid what my time is worth, and my knowledge and expertise worth. All right, so don't be afraid to tell your price. Don't be afraid to talk with the company that you work for and ask for a raise. Make the case. There's a lot of guides out there that will teach you for free on YouTube, on the internet, how to ask for a raise, how to show the value, how to demonstrate your accomplishment, right? How to show the business how much money you're able to drive them, or how much happiness you can drive to the customers to increase, for example, customer loyalty, etc. If the inflation goes up, it also means that companies make more money very often, and it should be okay to ask for more. Again, it needs to be a good case, but I think it's fair. A lot of people are afraid that if they'll go to their manager and ask for a raise, they will let them go, they will fire them. A good manager will never let a good employee leave because of money. He might tell you, hey, it's not possible right now, the financial situation is impossible. He'll give you an excuse, but no one will let you go because of it. It's the opposite. When we ask for a raise, and a raise doesn't have to be money, it can be more days off, it can be, hey, I want to work remote. A remote work has a huge privilege because it means, as we discussed before, allow us to live in a much, much cheaper place. I rather, if I when I lived in San Francisco and earned a low salary, I preferred to start work remote than get a raise, and that paid off million times better for me. So don't be afraid to have this conversation. It's something that I'm happy to help with people, and maybe we need to have a whole chat just about this one day here. So value yourself, and once you do it, I want to remind you to value yourself much more. Not just in terms of financials, but what you're worth and what you bring to this world, and how important you are to your friends and your family, and let this drive you forward. Don't like it's just painful for me to see people not believing, and get up and look up and rise up and really just, I think we are all so worthy, and we just need to show up for ourselves. And when we show up for ourselves, people around us do it. I don't do anything for anybody else anymore. I do things for myself, things that makes me happy, and if it makes other people happy, that's great, and if not, it's also great. Make sure that you value yourself, you do the thing that really in line with your values and your passions. And the freedom, after I gave you a little bit about the location, the travels, and a bit of the financials, there's so much more about the financials that we can dive. And I'll stay an extra 10 minutes here to answer your question, guys. It's really the mindset of the most important. Money is important because it gives a sense of security, and being able to travel is fantastic, and it's really a privilege. But being open in my mindset is the best part of this lifestyle. And for me, coming from Israel, a region where there's a conflict for 70 years, being growing as a Jewish, I'm not religious, but I come from a Jewish state and a Jewish family. When I started to travel, I started to question also everything, and I learned that I was not wrong, but I was not always right. I learned that not everything I took for granted is actually fact, and not all the facts I thought. Some of them are actually opinions, and some of the opinions are actually facts. And I learned to love everyone, regardless of where they're from and what they believe in and what's the color of the skin. And I see more and more opportunities becoming available to more people, which I think it's time to make this world a much, much fairer place for everyone. So the travel bit, being a digital nomad is so much more than making a little bit more money, or saving another dollar or two. It's first of all, I think, for our mindset and for our brains and how we see this world. The financial journey and what I presented to you today will require you a short-term pain, staying in a hostel, negotiating, cutting the Netflix, cutting Spotify, going places, maybe not travel to London this year, but in 3 years. But now let's go to Kosovo because it's much cheaper, or Bulgaria, which is a great place to be as a digital nomad. But I promise you, this short-term pain is the long-term gain. I gave up comfort for 5 years. This is not short time to give up comfort for. But at age 40, I can now have all the comforts I can. I'm here in Bali. I live in a villa. I have the most comfortable king size bed. I just had a massage before this webinar. I had a nice meal, and that's not because um, I I did something special today. It's because I did something special before, and it's just giving up on certain things. It's very difficult to give up on the newest iPhone or the latest leather jacket or the nicest jeans. But if you do it consistently for a few years, if you give up these things and spend less, you earn more. I promise you, you can create amazing stability and financial safety net for yourself. And I know that oftentimes when I ask people, cut your Netflix or cut your Spotify, and they tell me, yeah, but it's a $5. It's what is Spotify, $10 today? So the thing with $1 million or $900,000 or $300,000, whatever number you need, is that $1 million is made of $1 million. So when you cut the $10 from Spotify and the $10 from YouTube and Netflix, it turns into a 200. And then if you continue to do it also with eating out and not getting the most expensive products and services, it starts to be, sorry, from 10 to 200, from 200 to 10,000, and then eventually it turns into a million. And this slide makes it so painful in my eyes to look at. What a terrible slide. But this is how people come to $1 million. Not all of them wake up over like the next morning to $1 million, but we work hard day to day, save the extra buck, and eventually you wake up to an amount that allow you to live very comfortable life. And it doesn't have to be $1 million. It's just a buzzword that most people I know that no need to work anymore in the digital nomad community has far less than a million in the bank, and they really don't need to work anymore. Your network is your net worth. And if people need to leave shortly, I know we're at the top of the hour. I just please don't go. If you can stay. I really have a couple more slides more. But I thank you for being in. If you need to drop, your network is your net worth. All this blah blah I can do here is important, but I truly believe that the people you surround yourself are what's most important. Surround yourself with people who do. If we spend all day with people that just being lazy, chilling, watching TV, that's most likely when you end up. I surrounded myself 10 years ago with people who invest in real estate, curious about the stock market, passionate about financial independence, and behold, somehow magically I found myself doing the same as they are, because this is the environment I've been surrounded myself all the time. It's a reason why I like to go to co-working spaces often, or co-living spaces, because I surround myself with like-minded people that has the same lifestyle and same ideas that I share, and it really motivates and helps me to stay on track. And if you don't have, like me, sometimes all the best friends in the world, one of my best friends are actually people I on podcasts. I speak to them. I just don't say anything. I just listen. But these are some of the podcasts. If you want to take screenshot, I can actually drop maybe a link later on in a follow-up email with a slide and some links. I have a link with all my podcasts that I listen to. It's live. It's always up to date with what I listen to. But many of the investments ideas, the mindset that I have, the ideas about FIRE and early retirements, I received from those podcasts. BiggerPockets Money, one of my very favorite, very inspiring. Invest Like a Boss, Choose a FI is a great one. All of them here, podcasts that I listen often. The one that I don't listen very often is Tim Ferriss, but he is here because this is Tim Ferriss, one of the grandfathers of the digital nomad lifestyle. Um, so these are some of my recommendations here. And then invest. Invest is the third step in getting into financial independence. Is actually the most important one, because this is what generates this passive income. We ourselves, 24 hours a day, 80 years to live, that's not enough anymore to bring us where we want to be. Unfortunately, we can see it now with people retiring with not enough money. Someone mentioned inflation earlier today. If we don't invest and we don't let money work for us, it's very difficult to grow on our numbers. And investment money is the best employee you can have. It will work day and night, around the clock, in every country around the world. It will not complain. It will not quit on you. Money will work for you. And as I mentioned, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I do some real estate. I have a little bit, I have some money in stock market, in index funds, ETFs, Vanguards. These are some terms, sorry if I'm throwing buzzwords, but these are very basic and simple investments which are unmanaged. It's just buy, I don't need to look at it, open it in 10, 20 years, and it should be up. And if not, it's not my problem. If we buy an index fund and in 20 years it's down, it's not so much of a problem because it means that the entire world economy is down. Um, so this talk today was not about investment. This is why I don't have any more slides on it, but just know that it's the third pillar in financial independence, and it's something that I encourage you to educate yourself. You don't need to become an investor. I actually encourage you not to become an investor, because then you work as an investor, and the idea is not to work. But definitely educate yourself, understand what the stock market can do for you, what other investments there are. Things that I will never recommend people is to touch crypto. I don't have any crypto in my portfolio. I don't believe in it. There might be a big opportunity there, but I don't invest in what's called asset classes. I don't invest in products and services I do not understand. So this is about investment. My very 2 cents, as I said, not an advice, a financial advice. But once you invest, I encourage you to do the biggest investment you can do in your life. And this is, I definitely advise you. This is definitely an advice. This is definitely a recommendation. Invest in yourself. The best ROI, return on investment, I had in my life is investing in myself. If it's going on webinars at midnight, if it's online courses, if it's mentor, coaches, personal trainers, if it's buying really like knowledge, this knowledge that I gained on how to become a public speaker and how to run an online community, how to build a website, helped me to launch businesses, helped me to become the public speaker I am, helped me to become the person, the friend, the lover, everything I am, I learned from someone. And when we invest in content, and it doesn't have to be money and knowledge, it doesn't have to be money, it can be time, like being on such webinar tonight, that returns tenfold. And I always joke that online courses and coaches should be outlawed. It should be illegal, because it's basically like cheating. We're able to buy for $500 knowledge condensed into a course that someone else took them 10 years to gain. How is this fair? This guy put 10 years of his life, and I'm just buying it for $500 and I'm just loading into my brain. So it's of course a joke, but this is the opportunity. We can take someone else's expertise and just get and tap into it within minutes from the comfort of our house for a few 10 or $100. Today I just bought an online course about public speaking for $10 on Udemy. Amazing information and knowledge. So invest in yourself is the best advice I can leave you with, aside of minimalism, but you know that already. And then I have a promise for you, and I will wrap up with this. Financial independence and mindset freedom and location independence are very much like climbing a mountain. It's a climb, right? It's you want to go up and up. You want to have more money, more freedom. But the good news about this is that unlike mountain climbing, in this case of financial freedom and the case of mindset freedom, the higher you climb and the higher you get closer to the peak, the easier it actually gets. When we climb a mountain, you get to near the top, near the peak, the air is very diluted, there's no enough oxygen, it's hard to breathe, you're tired. It's exactly the opposite when you climb towards the top in financial terms. The more you save, the easier it becomes to get the extra saving, the extra dollar, the extra euro. The higher you climb with your knowledge and the expertise that you gain, it's becoming easier to do things, right? Everything we do for the first time is difficult, but until it becomes easy. So I leave you with this, and I thank you very, very much for your time today, and everyone who stayed here the extra minutes. I will stay here more time. I will stay here for now for another probably 10-15 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll just scroll back on the chat and you can ask me anything, really anything. Don't be shy. I'm happy to talk. I'm an open book and I'm happy to talk about pretty much every aspect of my life. So, and while I answer the questions, I leave you here with the details about Passport Card Nomads, our dear collaborators, and allow this event to happen, to create this space today, and made sure that people here are aware of this. So, this is my recommendation when it comes to health insurance, and I'm so proud to be part of this team. Thank you, Passport Card Nomads. I know some of you here with us tonight as well. Okay, so questions. I'll do some quick ones. Stockbroker that I recommend. I trade with the eToro platform. It's very easy to trade with. I have some nice features, but it doesn't have all the stocks in it. That's one downside to it. But other than this, it's a good tool, good for beginners. Internationally, interactive brokers is pretty much the gold standard. A lot of people use them. It's a little bit more complex system, but the overall good company. And let's say it also depends on the country you're from. So if some guys here, for example, from the States, there are some other options which are also you can go to Ameritrade, and there's Robinhood, etc. Question: what was your hardest time in your 8 years journey? How did you manage? Thank you, Melis, for this question. Hardest time. Wow. Um, I need to think about it a few more minutes. Generally, I don't have very difficult times. I mean, I did lose one of my biggest jobs at some point, which was very unexpected and kind of threw me off. Um, I had relationship that ended not in the way that I wanted to end, and there's this distance from the family and friends. It's a lot of resilience, I think, that I have in myself and developed over time. And I think also I always remind myself very much about, as I spoke a little bit about failure, that this pain and times where are a little bit more difficult and hard is just temporary, right? If I don't have a job now, I'm not gonna be jobless for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna be homeless for the rest of my life, or homeless at all. I look around myself, I look at the friends that I surround myself. None of them is jobless, none of them is homeless. It's very unlikely that it will happen for me. And I understand this at the back of my hand all the time. And I remind myself that I just need to get up and I need to do. And sometimes it just takes time. If when there's a heartache, it takes time to heal this pain. Um, I also reach out to help. In the last year, I went through a burnout, a severe one. I was depressed. I felt bad. I was in bed many of the days. I was crying for no reason, and I had no energy to go pursue the things I want to do. And I reached out to a life coach, which I still work with 6 months later. I just had a conversation with him earlier today. And I chose someone that I really resonate with and understand me, and it really helped me and it raised me up. So, it goes back to people. I surround myself with good people that helps me to rise, help me to see the positive. Um, the I stand for so many people and I show up for so many friends day to day, and I make sure that surround myself with people that do the same for me. Um, let's see. Do you think find what did you find what did you find was your best income source? Um, so I didn't say today, but I always say that the best income source, especially in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, is work. It's oftentimes, especially if we don't have a lot of wealth, going and work. I had 2, 3 jobs sometimes at the same time. I took home 3 salaries. I slept for 2 hours a night. I did it for 6 months, but I took a lot of money home and I saved it. Um, so I think work is still the best compensated, and I will take any job. Actually, my dream job is to go and become a waiter in a restaurant, to talk to people all day. It's a job that at the end of the day don't need to take home with you, like the mental baggage, and it's respectable. I think every job is respectful, and um, I encourage people to experience different things. Other than that, if I look at other investments, I'm invested in a foreign exchange boutique fund. They do 20+% every year now. Um, I, I I had a good real estate deal which I did years ago. It was a very small one, but it was 100% within 2 years. Generally, I believe in real estate long term. I just don't know any people with real estate who lost money or who are poor. It's a very good class assets that um, I believe in. Actually, by the way, guys, I post a lot on my Instagram on my investments and what I do. I share about performance when I lose money, when I make money. I'm very transparent about sometimes the numbers, sometimes the pretentious, which is the minimum monthly expense in Bali now. I think it's about $1,500, $1,600 a month now. It depends how you choose to live. Bali is not a cheap destination for nomads, especially now. A lot of travelers came here, so the Airbnbs are packed with tourists willing to pay any price. Um, so it's a little bit more expensive. But yeah, Bali is Bali. It's just an amazing place. You said you can ask the gate, the doctor. Liraz, regarding the 3 seats, if it's already allocated, yes. I mean, if the flight is full, the flight is full. But this is why I ask at the very beginning for this, and then again at the gate. Very often, they will give you 3 seats at the very beginning as well at the check-in desk, if I even go to the check-in. If not, I just make sure to choose an empty row when I check in at the end of the airplane, and then I do it. It used to work 90% of the time. I think now it works about 75 to 80% of the time. How did I acquire my knowledge of investment? CB, that's a very good question. As I said, everything I learned when it comes to investment is, okay, let's do 3 things. People, I surround myself with people that invest money. Um, I found investor circles and meetups in Bali or in different places, and I go and I listen and I ask. The internet, just go on YouTube, how to invest in real estate. There's so much information out there. So when I'm interested about something and I'm actually doing an investment here in Bali now, I'm actually building my own villa in Bali. So I just started to ask people, and I got confused because different people tell you different things. But that's how you learn the different opinions and different ideas. And podcasts. Podcast. Invest Like a Boss is a great source. Johnny FD and Sam Marks, every week they interview a different company that do investment in different fields, and it's very interesting to educate yourself. I can highly recommend this one. Um, Podcasts, guys, it's the best university in the world. I listen to podcasts every day. When I ride on the scooter, when I shower, I have a speaker. I listen to podcasts before I go to bed. Every time if I have lunch by myself, I will listen to podcast. Every dead minute where I don't need my earring sense, I listen to podcasts, or now also books on Audible. Um, and one of book on Audible that I recently listened to, which was great for beginners. I should actually include it into my presentation. You Are Badass at Making Money. Yeah, You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. Um, Great book. I will write it down here in the chat. It is, I think, if you ask me for one place to start learning about investment, that will be this. You Are a Badass at Making Money. Podcast slide again. You guys take a screenshot of it if possible. And also I will put here, as I said earlier, this is the link. I mentioned the link. This link has live, take it from the chat, please. Is the list of podcasts I listen to right now. This is what's on my playlist. Okay, so you can see for yourself. Let's see more questions. Which destination did you meet the most people whom you felt as a tribe? Melinda, thank you for this question. Bansko, Bulgaria is definitely becoming a place you can always find a lot of nomads. So there's a lot of selection. Bali has a very good community. Thailand is growing an amazing community. Portugal, Medellin, Colombia, and to my all-time favorite would be Canary Islands in Spain. There is a very mature digital nomad community. People love to share with each other. It's oftentimes feels like a very small family. Um, so yeah, this it's a beautiful question because this sense of family and tribe is so important. This is also why I started my own online community, and it's 35,000 people, but it still feels like a tribe, and it's the most amazing thing to touch down in the most random place in Sri Lanka and all of a sudden bump into someone from the community. It's just a feel good experience. Melis, a lot of people traveling with pets. Obviously, it's not the majority, but there are people traveling with cats, with dogs, with iguanas. It makes things a little bit more complex. Some countries are much more strict when it comes to animals. If you want to bring a dog to Indonesia, it's definitely not an easy task, but it's possible. People do it. This is part of like limiting belief. It's crazy, it's impossible, but the fact is it's possible. I know people traveling with pets. I know families with 4 kids traveling the world for years, been to 100 countries with the kids. I know families with 3 kids, with 6 kids. I know families with babies and with kids 16 years old. In fact, 2 weeks ago I interviewed a girl 11 or 12 years old. She grew up as a digital nomad, and she's one of the brightest people I ever spoke to in my life. She at age 11, she's already an English teacher, an online English teacher. That's her business. She has multiple mentors. She speaks 4 languages and studying the fifth. So everything is possible, and it's oftentimes more amazing that we even think. Let's see if I can fit more questions in the next 3-4 minutes. CB, oh, that's a good question. Wow, people, you straight to the point. I like it. Um, wow, there's so many, 9 years of travel to condense into an hour a talk. So many tips I want to share with you. Um, if this is successful, I'm sure that Passport Card Nomads will host more of those. This is some of my details. This QR code will take you to my link tree, so it's easy to find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram. Please connect with me. I would love to be in touch. In regard to CB last question, how do you deal with the uncertainty this lifestyle initials for me and create? There is definitely uncertainty, but all those fears I have, I work around them, right? So when it comes to my health, for example, I started to work with a personal trainer to eat better and to work out. And to uncertainty on how I pay for my health and stuff, I have Passport Card Nomads. That it really gives me peace of mind to know that whatever happens, and it happened because I had to pay $2,000 out of pocket here in Bali when I had my accident a couple years ago. I used before Passport Card Nomad, they have a second similar product, but not geared specifically toward nomads, and that covered this. But when it comes to financials, for example, the reason I talk about financials nowadays here on this webinar and on um, my mentor programs that I do with people and my social media is because it's uncertainty that I had. I had money trauma. I I didn't, the education I got at home wasn't. I have amazing parents and amazing family, but financials they're not because they were not educated anywhere. No one told them how to manage their financials. So and no one in school told me how to do it. And even when I studied 7 years of BA and MBA of finance, no one told me how to invest and manage my money. So to create this, to deal with this uncertainty, I invested in myself. I invested in listening to podcasts and talking to people and doing what I do now. So I think it's I to deal with this, I create certainty in my life. I surround myself to not be lonely. I surround myself with amazing people that I know that will show up for me when I need them. To not ever be homeless, I build this financial stability that I need. to always stay relevant in the job market. I keep learning new stuff and new expertise. It's a very good question, Sibi, and I thank you for this. Again, if you didn't see the question, everyone, it's how do I deal with uncertainty? I take those fears is our desires, right? And someone told me this recently. I learned this beautiful sentence that our fears are our desires, or maybe it's the opposite, but basically all these things that aren't certain and we're afraid of, it's basically what we desire and what we need to deal with and fix. Um, Guys, everyone here, thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you again, Passport Card Nomads, for the insurance that you provide us with and for creating this space and making this webinar possible, and all the support and the love you share with me in the community. I'm really thankful for this collaboration. It created beautiful things here and around the world, and I'm sure that we will continue to create more and more events like that and do more and more for the community. And for all of you guys, my friends from all over the world, thank you for sticking with me here and in real life. And some of you, I know I will see soon. Some I know I will see a little bit later, but eventually we will all meet. We live on a small world, in a small world, and eventually I meet everybody at least twice. So thank you very much. I love you. Say yes to life, say yes to your best life, your dreams, all the passions and the goals that you want to achieve, and just go for it. Dive for it head first, and live your best life. Life is short and it's worth living the very, very, very best of it. Um, Work hard and it will pay off. I guarantee. And yeah, find me, the easiest person to find on earth, Dean Kuchel, any social media of your choice, I'll be there. And if you're in Bali, drop me a line. Would love to grab a drink or lunch or sunset with you. All right, guys, have a good one wherever you are in the world.